to Tom Stefan because obviously I can't talk very much. So, Tom.
And I talk a lot. I do want to thank, this is Jean Crockett, and did you introduce yourself? That's Jean Crockett. She's the president of the PTA Council. And the PTA Council has put this whole evening together. So we'd like to thank her and her council for doing that for the benefit of the voters of Stow and Munroe Falls. So we have a number of people running for school board this year, and Jean called me and asked me if I would be happy to moderate this, and I am. I am very happy to do this. We have 8 people running for the Board of Education, only 6 of whom were able to be with us tonight. But we would like people to understand why the other 2 are missing. From Pat Matthews. I am unable to attend the meeting tonight due to a family conflict. My granddaughter, a senior at Stow and Munroe Falls High School, is playing Walsh tonight for the district volleyball title. My husband and I have attended for 4 years, and we feel we need to be at the game. My information is on Stow Patch and will be in the Stow Sentry. I will attend the candidates night on November 7th at Kempton Middle School. Hope to see you there. So that's from Pat Matthews. Also, Jason Trasick is unable to be with us this evening. He had out-of-town plans that simply could not be changed. He tried and tried, but we all know what it's like to try to change airplane reservations and lose all that money. You just don't do that anymore. So the tickets were previously purchased, and he wishes he could have been here. He called Jean several times, telling her, I really wish I were going to be there. And we know it's going to be really filled up in here tonight. What's that sign say right there by the door? What's the legal limit? We are in the safety center. we don't want those fire people to come over and say, hey, how are you out here? Jean, you're giving up your seat? Let's hear it from Jean. Tonight, I would like to go over the process we're going to follow here. I'd like to first introduce the 6 candidates who are with us tonight, starting on your far right, Karen Powers, Denny Mariola, Fred Bonacci, Kelly Toppin, Jerry Bedio, and Rod Armstrong. They will be with us tonight. They will be following a timed procedure. I'm going to give each one of them 30 seconds to introduce himself or herself. Then we will get into the questions, wherein they will receive 2 minutes to answer each of 3 questions, candidates. I told you 2. I lied, but the moderator's the only one allowed to lie. No, I've got to tell you, I've done a lot of these. This PTA Council has come up with a ton of questions. And I mean, they're really, really good. I didn't see them until I got here about 5 after 6. So anyway, they said, let's give them all to them. I think, okay. All right, so, and then they will be given 1 minute at the end of the evening to leave the viewers, leave the audience with whatever you would like them to hear at the very end. So, we have a timekeeper, Kelly. Kelly will be keeping, no, not Kelly. Jeannie, that's what I said, Jeannie. She will tell them when to start. Actually, I'll tell them when to start, but you can just hold that up if you like. Then she will tell them when 30 seconds remain in your time. And then, of course, if you keep going and you're over, she'll tell you when to stop, right? Jeannie or Kelly or whoever. All right. We also need to point out that cell phones are a real distraction. So if you could, put them on vibrate or turn them off completely. If you must speak on your cell phone, and somebody always must, go out in the hall, okay? All right. Also, we had a situation where we asked all of the candidates, in any kind of public forum, yes, it is a public forum, but people being filmed or in any way recorded must give their permission to be filmed or recorded. Therefore, we asked all the candidates that you see here tonight, and they did agree with the stipulation that the filming or the videotaping that is going on is from beginning to end. There will be no stop-start, and that was fine with our videographer. And we have still photography being taken and more people coming in. That's good. That's good. All right. Let us begin. Excuse me, I do want to explain how we're going to do the questions and the names. We have everybody's name in one basket. We have all the questions in the other, so that there will be no particular order. I will draw a name, I will draw a question. They have no idea what order, well, nobody has any idea what order anything will be in, and that's the way we're going to do it. It's the only fair way, and it keeps it totally random, and you have to be on their toes at all times. All right. So, we will, however, begin excuse me, with these 30-second introduction. I'm just going to go from the order that I introduced them first, starting with Ms. Powers.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Karen Powers. I've been board member for 4 years. Prior to that, I was president of PTA Council and also president of Echo Hills Elementary. I've been a volunteer for the schools for at least 20 years. It's been my adult devotion to the children of our district, and all I want is what's best for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mariola.
Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight. Again, Denny Mariola, been with the school board, Stow Falls School Board for the last 4 years, past vice president, past president of the school board. As Karen said, the one big thing the school board has to offer, this current school board has to offer, is the knowledge and experience that was gained over the last 4 years. Helping me in this role as a school board member, I've been employed with Bridgestone Firestone for 41 years before I retired, and was able to put my son through the Stow school system. He was 40, and now I have a 15-year-old.
Thank you, Mr. Mariola. Mr. Bonacci.
My name is Fred Bonacci. I've been a Stow resident for 45 years. I graduated from Stow High School in 1976. My wife taught at the high school in the 80s. I had a son who graduated in 2007 or 2010. Had great teachers when I was here. One of them is standing here moderating right now. I had him in class.
That's not good.
Means nothing.
I'm proud of the education that I got, my children got, and how we prepared for college, and I want that to continue, and that's why I'm running. I've been a president of Booster Club, and I got to stop, but that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Bonacci. May I point out that I had Mr. Bonacci in class, in language arts class, my first year out of college. So you can all figure out how old all of us are. Mr. Toppin, if you will introduce yourself.
My name is Kelly Toppin. I've been a resident of Stow for the past 12 years. I have 2 children in the Stow Munroe Falls school system, one at the high school and one at Butte. This is my first time running for the school board. I do have an educational background as well as a business background, and I look forward to moving the schools forward so we are not ending up as some districts are, which you see on the news, who are in dire straits in Munroe.
Thank you, Mr. Toppin. Ms. Bedio.
Hi, I'm Jerry Video. I have lived in Stow for going on 43 years. I have banking experience, retail experience. I have also worked for the Stow school system for over 34 years. I am not a teacher, but I have an insight on what's going on in the school system. I am now retired. I am retired for 5 years and see a lot of things that could be changed in the school system. And I've been told if you talk the talk, do the walk.
Thank you, Ms. Bedio. And Mr. Armstrong.
Hi, my name is Rod Armstrong. I'm a graduate. Well, I grew up in the area. I'm a Stow resident for the last 26 years. I grew up in Common Falls. I graduated from Kent State with a bachelor's degree in accounting, BBA in accounting. I then got a graduate degree from Baldwin Wallace with an MBA. I retired from Ford Motor Company after 35 years, and I just last year went back on special assignment. Short-term, a year and a half now.
Thank you. Wait, is that timekeeper division or what? She just cuts you right out. All right, we'll get into the evening. Once again, I do want to point out that the Stow PTA Council planned this whole evening, and those of you who have been to these before or have been to similar events like this know that if we spend the evening taking questions from just the audience, you're here till midnight. So we are having questions done their way, and I fully agree. All right, again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a name, and then I'm going to draw a question. Fred Bonacci is first up. And the first question is, What is your philosophy on balancing a district budget in difficult financial times?
Well, obviously, you have to do more with less. You gotta scrutinize every dollar, make sure it's spent wisely, efficiently, and be accountable for every dollar you spend. Obviously, you cannot spend more than what you bring in. If you do, then you have to look at ways to save money. Fortunately, on Monday, I spoke with the president of the school board in Green, who have collaborated well with the city of Green. There's many opportunities, I think, with our city, for our schools and city to save money. In business, you learn from best practice, and I think there's a lot of opportunities to bring into the school district that we haven't looked at yet to save us additional dollars. I am for the levy, but if the levy doesn't pass, there's still think there's opportunities that we can go out there and save some dollars, but obviously we have not made that.
Thank you, and again, I did want to point out to all of us that we give them 2 minutes, you don't have to use all 2 minutes, and that worked fine. All right, next person up is Karen Powers, and your question is, I think this is fair as it possibly can be. Please list 3 qualities of a good governing Board of Education member.
One would be integrity. You have to at least have believability, you have to be honest, you have to be caring and passionate about the job. The other one, I don't even know what word I want to use, is to be able to differentiate when you've crossed the line. As a board member, you are only one person out of 5. You have an opinion, but if nobody else agrees with you, it really doesn't mean much at all. You can't overstep your bounds. The role of a board member is to review and approve policy and to let the people who are in charge do their jobs. Let's see, the other one would be just responsible and think very hard about the tough decisions that you have to make and always do the right thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question will go to Ms. Bedio. Any question? What will be your top objective or objectives if elected to the school board?
My main objective is to do the best that I can for the students. I want to see all the activities put back in place. I want to see busing for safety reasons, and the things that are important that educate the children. I want to see that programs that are costly, that aren't academic, are eliminated, and that we do the best we can. I have seen a statement from the previous board to make them global citizens. I highly disagree with that because I am proud to be an American, and I think that because people gave such a different opinion of that, they have changed their vision statement. I want to do the best that can be done for the children.
Thank you. Next will be Rod Armstrong. Any question? It's kind of basic. Why are you running for school board? It's a good one.
I want excellence within budget. I maintain the excellence, but I think we can do it within budget. I've examined the 5-year forecast. I think there's a lot of opportunity in there, and that's exactly what it is, a forecast. Okay, when you look at the out years and you start talking $20, $30 million off, that's purely an estimate. There's a lot of questions I have. I want to look at get in. There's a lot of questions with the forecast, and I think we have a lot of opportunity there, that without taking the money away from the children. And that's who's losing it right now. I don't think for $40,000, I want a child to walk to school in Stow that doesn't have all the infrastructure. I don't think for $100,000 that we want the close the buildings and not have the extracurriculars. Extracurriculars are a very important part of this. What I'm seeing out there, and I'm not satisfied, and I don't think we're doing the best for the kids. think what's happened is, it's a classical case back when I remember I took Social 101, when people would let their means become their end. And the means here is to get new money, and the end is for education. Okay, but what's happened is our end now, it seems to me the district's end now is to pass a levy, period. That's their end. No longer their means.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. 2 cards. Mr. Mariello. Question is, what is your current involvement with our schools and our students?
Obviously, my current involvement right now is with the Stow Munroe Falls School Board. Many hours are spent answering phone calls from, I can see some people in here already that I've talked to either over the phone or in the street. The other item being, I have a daughter that's 15 years old going to the high school right now, and with her activities, Friday night football and Saturday morning JV, we are being run around. In fact, what happens, as all of us know, that you find out where you have to be the next day, probably around 3 o'clock, because everything changes by the time they get to school and come home. What else have I been involved in? I've tutored some children, along with Karen Wright, that's on the school board, at Kempton Middle School. A very rewarding experience. To actually sit there for about an hour every so often to help the teachers out. Again, other involvements is this Sunday, we have the Stow Youth Football cheer competition. And I am going to be participating in that. The one thing that everybody has to understand, please understand, the children are my favorite thing. And those kids, when you get down and sit right down in front of them and start talking to them, they just light up. So with the teachers' help and the children, I can still stay involved with everything that's going on in my personal life. Thank you.
And G.
I get
Why,
the last.
Mr. Toppin, this question goes to you from round 1, and that is, what goals do you hope to achieve if you are elected to the Board of Education?
Well, if elected to the Board of Education, there's some processes that I would like to see implemented that I think could bring us back to where we were. I've spoke with several other school districts representatives, and we at one time had a finance committee with this school board. I would like to see in some form that finance committee reinstated. I believe we need a checks and balances system on our books so that we can see where the money is being spent. We're going to the community to ask for money. As the Board of Education, we need to be responsible to see that that money is spent properly and for the better of the district.
Thank you. And that is the end of round 1. However, I did something wrong. I was instructed at every PTA event, we always start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So, I'm standing here watching the candidates and I keep looking at the flag thinking, all right, so if everybody will rise, please, we'll start round 2 with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And I do apologize, Gene. At least I remembered somewhere. All right, I put all the names back in, and we'll start round 2. And we will start round 2 with... Did she start last time? Karen Powers? Oh, Fred did. All right, Karen Powers. All right, Karen Powers, your second round question. Can you, should you, support a board decision you are not in favor of?
That's an excellent question. Prior to me running the last time, I did take 2 seminars at the Ohio School Board Governance Project and one also at FAU. The reality of the situation is that even though you may have an opinion, as I said before, that is not popular, unfortunately, you will be voted down, and that's just the way it is. Although we are always been very open with each other, have very good communication going on between us. But it's true, you know, and anybody on any board will tell you that you don't always have to be as one. You can disagree, and you can disagree openly in public as well. But when a decision is being made, sometimes you do just have to acquiesce. And that's the truth.
Thank you. Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
What are your feelings regarding the relationship between the board and the unions representing all the employees?
Yeah, I've worked in the union shop all my life. I've been on both sides. I started as a UAW, and my grandparents were United Mine Workers, and then I went to salary. I've been on the management side for the last 25 years. So, you have to have an agreement. You have to work with unions. I mean, if you need to sit down and iron out your differences. Now, not to say you need to give in to everything, not to say that the union, you know, is always right, and not to say the company's always right. But I found out, and here's why you have a union. When I was a supervisor, I was 20 years old. I had a lot of people older than me, production supervisor. There were some people that worked for me that we just didn't get along. We had an inherent conflict with things, you know, I mean, between us. I mean, we just didn't get along. You needed a union there, because if there wasn't a union there to protect that person from management, then, you know, what would happen to them on that side? You know, and that's when I realized you really needed that, some people, you know, you need that protection, you need that interaction, and because some people just don't get along. I mean, everyone doesn't see eye to eye on every issue. That's why we're individuals. That's why a board, like the last question, you know, you may not agree with everything that's happening on the board, but you know, you work it out, you sit down as adults, you set the table, and you talk about it. Now, being on the school board and that, well, you need to do this in public.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Next will be Mr. Mariola.
Yes, sir.
This is pretty much what you got the last time, but it's the draw. What special strengths do you believe you would bring to the board?
The special strengths that I have is, number one, being involved with the kids prior to me being on the board, and so forth and so on. What I really bring to the board is my past experience, my education. My past experience being that I was in management the last 11 years in a position that I was directly over 123 people. Some of them were union, some of them were not. And what we have to understand is, and what I understand, is it's too bad that, number one, we even have to talk about union and we have to talk about non-union. That's not what it's about. What it's about is the transparency, and that you don't really recognize the difference between person A, union, person B, non-union. I have that experience working with unions. Number 3 or 4, whatever it is, The experience that I'm also bringing is the children of my own. I know what it's like to have children going through a school system always having problems with money, always being concerned. But my eyes have opened. Rather than directing it at a child, my own child, I have to take the vision of the whole school district.
Thank you. Next. Spedio. Do you understand the role of the superintendent? Describe the role.
The superintendent is the main supervisor, if you want to call it, of everything. He is accountable for everything that goes on in the school district. He has to report to the board, he has to answer questions from the public, and he has to supervise curriculum, teachers, staff, transportation supervisors, that sort of thing. He also has to be appropriate. He joins a number of different clubs. He's the PR person for the school district. And I believe he needs to be open and above board with everyone who asks him a question.
That's it. Okay, thank you. Mr. Chop. If elected, what kind of additional cuts would you recommend if the levy does not pass?
Well, if the levy does not pass, which hopefully it will, as I'm for levy. If the levy does not pass, we really need to take a look at all the programs that are available. There are some options out there where I believe we can save money in our busing, in which people would not lose their jobs. There are different districts that are doing different things right now where they're saving money with their busing and all their students are being bused. So there are options out there in different areas that I think we need to go back. If they were looked at before, we need to go back and look at them again. Because without touching the teachers, touching educational, touching our athletics, our theater, our band, there are other options out there that can be looked at.
Okay, all right. And, geez, I think there's only one left, Mr. Benacci. And your question is? What are your views on open data and transparency of information?
Well, I am all for that. Number one, and you have to have both transparency and be open. I want this board to be open to the public. I would like to see at board meetings more information presented, more in a way that everyone can understand. I think that's one of the issues we have now in some of our board meetings on presentations. If you were at the last board meeting on the 5-year plan, unless you were an accountant, it was very difficult to follow. I think we need to learn from best practice from other boards. I keep resorting back to the City of Green. If you go on their website and see some of the presentations, they're all filmed, very, very basic, people can understand. I think if you understand things, not necessarily always will agree, but if you understand things, it answers questions instead of not understanding what, the point you're trying to get across. So I think that's important. Always have an open communication. That's why I'm against issue number 2. This is like we talk about negotiation we were talking about earlier with unions. If you have a relationship and you're open and trusting, I think that's one of the biggest things we got to gain back in the community's trust with the community and the school board. All that comes to being open, not have the community feel like we're hiding something. Let's put it all on the table, answer the questions when there's board meetings, be open, be accessible at any time to the public for questions. I think that'll help, and we need to build the trust back between the community and the school board. That's where you start. You get that trust back, then everyone starts working more together. And I think that's critical. It's critical right now. It's critical to get this levy passed. I think we're doing a good job. And I am also for the levy. I state that publicly. But we got to understand if this levy passes, by no means will be on strong financial ground. I think we need to scrutinize every dollar spent. I said that earlier. I'll continue to do that. I work for second largest oil company in over 27 years. Trust me, those guys are higher than the drum. You look for them now. So that's
Thank you, Mr. Bernard. And that brings us to the end of, well, should we do the Pledge of Allegiance again? All right, let's mix up your names again for the third round. Okay, first up this time, Rod Armstrong. Question? What are your plans for the district funds if the levy passes?
My plans for the district, if the levy passes, if the levy doesn't pass, I want to continue to be the best at maintaining excellence in the budget. I will continue to go after, to look at inefficiencies within our budget. I have my eye, I have a couple right now, stated it before. I think we're accessing an attorney fees, probably about $100,000 a year right there. I plan on sitting down, working with the treasurer quite a bit to make sure that we are completely transparent. In today's technology allows us to put everything out there. I mean, it's amazing. And even the board meetings, the minutes, look at your city's minutes, okay? Look at the council meetings minutes. I get them emailed to me every time they have a council meeting, and they're verbatim. Now go look at the board minutes for the school district. Have you looked at it? No, I didn't. It's just yes, no, and that's it. No, I want to see complete transparency on all the board meetings, all the financials. I don't want people to come in and ask for, I don't want people to have to ask for records. I want the records to be out there for them. And I see so many, I see our county moving that way. I see it all. And another item, if we have too much money, if the levy does pass, I'll just sit back and say, hey, thank you for the money, but when the renewal comes up, when that renewal comes up, I think we'll look serious at it at that point in time to say, do we need the renewal or can we cut the renewal down? Because if I remember right, one of those renewals is a large amount, about $7 million.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Next is Mr. Tobin. Should Board of Education candidates or members have term limits?
I guess in all actuality, I think there should be term limits, just as I believe there should be term limits on most political offices. The economy changes, the community changes every 4 or 8 years. And new ideas should always be welcome within it. So I do believe that there should be term limits.
That's it. Next, Mr. Mariola.
Yes, sir.
How would you address an issue brought to you by a parent or staff member?
Not to say that it hasn't happened in the past. No. There's only one way to handle it. When you get that phone call or you meet somebody out in the store that has a real concern, the first thing that you have to do, and you've heard it 100 times, you have to listen. Number 2 is, you have to remove yourself from a position on the board. The person is only talking to you because that's the person they feel that they need to come to. But you have to come down to their terms and understand what they're saying as a parent or whatever relationship they're giving to you as what the problem is. The important thing is, probably the most important thing is when you're talking to that person, you are concerned with their concern. You do not give them an answer to make them feel good unless you can back it up. If you don't know the answer, and I've done this before quite often, I will direct them to the superintendent, to Catherine Baldwin, to Sue Scher, to the principal. But ending up with the fact that if they are not satisfied or they didn't get the answer they want to hear, I can't guarantee I'll fix it, but call me back. It works. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Powers. Please describe your past experience with conflict resolution.
Wow, just as a mom, isn't that not enough? I've been married for how long? 28 years? I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
Conflict resolution, well, you know, I think just life experience alone, if you work, if you're out in the world, conflict resolution, it rears its ugly head all the time. You're constantly put into positions where you have to smooth things over, you have to compromise. That's just the way real life works. I was also, when I said earlier, my experience, I was also a president of a building and president of council. And there's not always conflict, but there's opposing views going on there. There's conflict within the school district. There are people who have one opinion and people who have another opinion. Well, you have to help them see eye to eye. It happens on a regular basis, like everyone knows. Everyone's conflict.
See, I don't run for these things because I would say Kentucky bourbon. That's it. Mr. Bonacci.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but you'll like this with Fred. I can tell. You've already answered it. But you can do it again. What specific steps would you take to improve transparency of information and make school district information more widely available?
Well, yeah, it's very similar to what I asked earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's the openness, again, of the school board and to the district employees, the voters, approachable, honesty, all those attributes are critical in order for this whole town to prosper and number one, and you hit the main goal, which is the students in the classroom, continue that excellence in the classroom. All that has to happen every day. One of the things I would like to do if I got elected is I would like to go once a month to each school, sit down with the teachers. I work, so I have to do it at lunchtime. Sit down with the teachers, hear what they have. Is there anything on their minds to address those things? You know, by myself, without the superintendent, so don't feel intimidated. So just sit down and hear what's going on in the schools, so I can bring it back to the board and we can discuss if there's issues that we can address to solve. Some minor things can keep building, become a major thing that you can maybe address head on. All that comes with communication. So that's, again, like I said earlier, all that is the openness, the honesty, the approachability, all those factors are keys if you're going to be on a board representing the city, the teachers, the classified union students. So that's, in my opinion, that's what needs to be done. That's what I would strive to do day in and day out. Business, like I said earlier, 45 years, I'm going nowhere. I know a lot of people. It was Booster Club president for the last 2 years. I know a lot of parents, a lot of teachers, some still teachers that I went to school still teaching. Lesson, but so
Not me.
So again, that's the key in my opinion.
Thank you, Fred.
Sure.
And it was 40-some years ago. So.
Yes.
And Ms. Bedio. There's only one left. How will you collaborate with the other board members to successfully resolve current issues facing our district?
To be on the board with 4 other people, when you're the fifth, you have to express your opinion. You have to listen to what they have to say. You have to do your research on your own. Let them do their research, and we can go back and forth and discuss the problem. And then ultimately, you have to make your own decision on what you're going to vote on or follow the curriculum or whatever the issue is.
All right, that brings us to the end of round 3, and I do have enough questions for one more round. Well, actually I don't, but I have 5. So what I'll do is I'll use those 5, and then I'll draw one from what's already been answered, and whoever's that person gets another shot at it. All right, group? All right, the names are back in. One more round. First up this time, Karen Powers. Well, there are only 6 people. It's going to happen. All right. How familiar are you with the collective bargaining process in public education?
Well, being on board for the past 4 years, I'm very familiar with it. I completely and totally understand all of the issues that they face and some of the problems that we have as well. You know, it's interesting that someone did earlier mention the legal fees, and I will say they're exorbitant, they're ridiculous. But we also just hammered out 2 contracts. We need legal representation. It costs a lot of money, and they spent days and days and days with it. But I do know the contract very well, and I understand what they're entitled to and their rights, and they are entitled to them. And I think we agreed on a great contract, and I want to, one more time, show my appreciation to all of you for the sacrifices that you've made, because I know that you have, and we do appreciate it quite a bit, because it makes a big difference on our bottom line.
Thank you, Karen. Next person will be Mr. Toppins. In your view, what has the district done well in the past 5 years?
Well, I feel in the last 5 years, the district has made the efforts to make cuts where they could. They have made an effort in doing that. Can more be done? Yes. Does more need to be done? Yes. Even if the levy passes this time, it's not a fix, it's a stopgap. We need to do more. If elected, whichever members are elected to the board, we're going to need to make more cuts. And eventually it's going to come down to making hard decisions. But I believe that over the last 5 years, the board has made an attempted effort to make the cuts where they could.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bonacci. How would you, if elected, address the district's greatest capital needs?
Well, I think if you walk around some of the buildings, we do have some buildings that have been lacking maintenance, obviously because of the tight money that we've had. I can use a high school example because I'm on that grounds all the time, being in the booster club. You look at the high school, you look at the exterior of the high school, you look out at the field house buildings, out the football field, there's spoutings that are missing, they've been gone for 2 years. Things are falling apart, and obviously it costs money, but preventive maintenance will save you a lot of money in the long run. So I think a little bit of preventive maintenance will save you a lot of money in the long run. So I think we've been a little lax in that. And I understand the reasons, but not being involved in the board on a day-to-day, I can't say exactly what decisions were made, where, what to fix, what not to fix. But obviously, we're not going to be building any new buildings in the future here, so we have to take care of what we got, and especially the high school and some of the grade schools that are in disrepair. So attention needs to be made in the maintenance area of our buildings.
Ms. Bedio? How would you work with state officials to develop a better way to fund the schools?
I think it's appropriate for any board member to keep in contact with state officials, even in your district or outside of your district, to see how things are funded, not only on the state level, but on the federal level to come to the schools. Appropriations should be made, and they should take reasonable steps for education. They do fund it now with the Title I. They also fund it with other appropriations for the school, but I think they're lacking on the feasibility of the school districts to make it equitable in all the regions.
All right. Mr. Mariola. In your view, what has the district done poorly in the past 5 years? What would you do to improve it?
What has a district done poorly?
Yes, sir.
That truly is probably a tough question. You're always looking at what you've done for the district, and a lot of times you lose sight of probably what you have missed. I think there are cuts that could be made within our school district that are upcoming, that may have happened in the past, that could be made in addition to the cuts we're already making. The one thing that has to be understood is that when a decision is made by any person on the board to do something, I hope everybody is on the same page that we keep it out of the classroom. So we have to start looking at material things. We have to start looking for dollars somewhere else. With my experience running a $63 million budget in the private world, I have a pretty good opportunity to do that. But everybody has to understand that any of us that ends up being on the board, we're one person of a team. It takes 3 of the 5 to get it done. So identifying the problem, there's a lot of dollars we could save, we could still save. I plan on going after it.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Armstrong, what a surprise. And pulling one from the, I hope you didn't get this one before. Can you or should you support a board decision you are not in favor of? You didn't get that one before, did you?
Okay, supporting and being in favor. I think that what you have to do.
Did you understand?
Yeah. Okay. When you get, first of all, is decision-making process. Okay, and the decision-making process has to be open. I don't see a lot of open discussion on the boards now. And that's what I want to see. I want to see the open discussion. Now, if you're defining support by going in and just saying, voting yes, like I saw on the last levy, when they put this last levy on the ballot, and everyone just walked in, yes, and walked out. No, I think if you need to get out there, you need to get the discussion, you need to let the community hear and see the discussion. They have to see if you, and then if you, by that, in that decision-making process of discussing it, then you decide if you're going to support it or not support it. Okay, so say they put a levy on the ballot and you don't support it. At some point in time, for what's best for the district, you're going to have to come around and say, okay, I personally don't support this, but as the board, I do support it. Okay, you can't, since you're only one of 5, you cannot fight. I mean, you know, you can't be a road guy out there constantly being coming across as the negative Mr. Bad Guy. You know? You have to support what's best for the board, and that's the reason you have a board of 5, because somewhere along the line, what's best for the children is, that's the bottom line. That's what we have.
Thank you very much. All right, that does bring us to the end of our questioning. What we are going to do with each candidate, as I mentioned earlier, each one will be given 1 minute to make a final statement to leave you with this evening. Then, after the actual formal part is over, they will stick around. Jean has reminded me that this is a PTA function, So there's stuff to eat. And she wants nothing taken home, everything is to be eaten, so you stay here until it's all gone. All right, we will again draw to see what order we are going in for your final statements, starting with Mr. Mariola.
Okay, for a minute, I'm going to pull myself out of a political race here for the school board. We got some news, and since we have community members here, we got some news this morning that was absolutely fantastic. So I'm just going to shorten it up. Our ACT scores. Thanks to our teachers and our administration, we scored English for the year 2011, 22.7 with the state being 21.1. Math, 23.2 with the state being 21.5. Every course, English, math, reading, science, and the composite was higher than the state average. So our teachers and our administration have done an excellent, excellent job. That's on the ACT. This is information I'd like to see if I was a parent. School year report card, how am I running here? Okay.
5 seconds.
Uh-oh. Anyway, our report card is absolutely fantastic through all grades. Again, our teachers and administrators have to be thanked.
All right, what we can do, since he's out of time and we're not giving him any more time, he'll be staying afterward, and if you'd like to talk to him about that, he'll have those records for you. Next person to give a final presentation, Ms. Bedio.
Again, I am running for school board because I'm here, because I want to do what's best for the kids. We have had a quality education system since I have been here for 42 years. I have had 3 children go through this school district. I have grandchildren who have graduated. I have 2 grandchildren in the school district now. My special interest, of course, is for them, but I wanted for every single student in this district. I do not want them to be told by anybody that we're going to take away this and we're going to take away that and we're going to make you walk to school and we're going to do this. I think it's unfair to use our children as a ploy to get what anybody wants. I'm thoroughly against it. I'm thoroughly against from the research that I've done with the misuse, I believe, in funding of certain things.
We thank you. And again, any questions you may have for Ms. Bedio after the program, please see her. Mr. Bonacci.
I would make perfectly clear, in my opinion, our schools are the cornerstone of this city. Our schools have to be sound, they have to be kept in excellent for our students. I went out to the BP, I moved people in my younger days, that was my job. 2 questions everybody always asked, and when they look for the housing price, and the very first or second question is always, what is the condition of the schools? Check out the schools. If we don't have good schools, people aren't going to move here. Businesses aren't going to come here. They're going to go to Hudson, they're going to go to Talmadge, they're going to go home. We got to have good schools here. I understand the levy's on, and I understand, I get the economy what it is. Regardless if the levy passes or fails, if I'm on that board, I will scrutinize every dollar spent, make sure, like I said earlier, spent wisely and efficiently. And if we have to cut, I will have the people who we're going to get, if it's the teachers or they're classified, they will be part of the discussions and part of the answer. Because anytime you have cuts, you're affecting people. If they're part of the decision, it's well better accepted.
Thank you. Ms. Powers.
Thank you. I've lived in this community for 31 years. It's an excellent community. I grew up in Akron. Night and day difference. Nothing against Akron, but this is a great community. And as Mr. Bonacci said, the schools are the cornerstone of any community. I'd like to see it remain that way. I'm not happy about the cuts. Nobody's happy about the cuts. Last thing I want to do is take a bus away from a small child who needs it for their own protection. At the after-school activities, that means so much to every high school student. I care about what is best for these children, and all of those things are good for our children. And I'm hoping that we can continue with it. The academic rigor that we have, the test scores that he just recently said, it's because our students are fabulous too, along with our staff and our teachers. And I want to see all of that continue here. I really, really do. I can't imagine life without it.
Thank you. Mr. Topham?
6 years rated excellence in the school district. I think that goes well to the teachers, the classified staff. We have one of the greatest teaching corps, classified corps you could look for in the state. 3 things I was always taught: you support your police, you support your firemen, you support your teachers and the school district. The school district is the backbone of every community. We have the backbone here. We have the teachers to support our kids. We have the kids that are taking an interest in multi-activities. Invest in the kids, invest in your schools, invest in your community.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Armstrong.
All right. I want to thank Mr. Ariola for bringing that to our attention about the ACT scores. That's fantastic. But also somebody else out there I'd like to thank, a couple of people, and that's the students and the parents and the volunteers of PTA. Those people are also the backbone. We're a community. It takes everyone to make these kids great. The kids, the students, the students need the support from everyone, especially from their home. And that just shows that they're getting a lot of support from some great parents also. I was a member, I was treasurer of the Kempton PTSA and of the high school PTSA for several years. And the volunteer work that goes on in these school systems. I know my wife was president for over 7 years of PTA and PTSA, and we used to keep track of the hours.
Thank you for making your point. And I will comment right on what he said, only in that I do want to thank the PTA Council and the people who make up the PTA Council for sponsoring this evening and doing such a good job of preparing the questions and the invitations and all that. So we thank you, and that is, as Rod was saying, all volunteers. As I said earlier, you're not allowed to leave until all that food is gone. But the candidates, will you stand this way so people can come up and talk to you up here? You don't get anything to eat or drink. Jean?
I'd like to say one more thing if I can, before I lose my voice completely.
It sounds kind of sexy.
Thank you so Candidates for coming to make this happen for such a fine job.
Thank you. And don't forget that on November the 7th, there will be, it's Munroe Falls Candidates Night, but that of course will include the school board candidates as well. So that'll be Kimpton? Who knows for sure? Is it Kimpton? All right, so there will be one more night for the people of Munroe Falls and school board. So, yeah, she'll let you have some. Thank you for being here.